In a quiet town lived Grace, a devoted mother who raised her son, Daniel, all on her own after her husband passed. She worked long hours, sacrificing everything, just so Daniel could have a better life than she did. The day he left for university, she pressed her entire savings into his hands and said, "Don't waste a single day of it." Years passed. Daniel grew into a successful man, married a woman named Claire, and moved into a beautiful home in the city. Grace grew older, living alone in the small house where she had raised him, waiting for his visits that came less and less. At the small local market, she still spoke proudly of her son to the neighbors, never once mentioning how long it had been since she'd seen him. One evening, Claire suggested it would be easier for everyone if Grace moved into a care facility. Daniel hesitated, but exhausted from work and afraid to upset his wife, he agreed. At work the next day, his colleague Mark told him, "You're doing the right thing. She'll get better care there than you could ever give her." He drove his mother to the care home himself, promising he would visit every single week. Grace smiled and told him not to worry about her. She just wanted him to be happy. That night, Grace carefully unpacked her small bag, placing an old photo of Daniel as a boy on the nightstand beside her new bed. The next morning, she met Rose, a fellow resident with a warm laugh and a cane, who quickly became her closest friend. The first few weeks, Daniel visited often. Then work grew busier, and the wall calendar in Grace's room began to show fewer and fewer marks. One Sunday, Daniel called to cancel his visit for the third week in a row. "An urgent meeting," he said. Grace told him it was fine. Grace spent her days by the window, watching the gate, hoping to see her son's car. The other residents had grown children who visited every Sunday. Grace waited alone with a photo of Daniel as a boy. Rose gently squeezed her hand and said, "My son visits every week without fail. Yours will come around, dear. Sons just need reminding sometimes." Winter came. Grace grew quieter, thinner, and the nurses noted she'd stopped asking when her son would visit. The head nurse, concerned that Grace had barely touched her meals for days, wrote a careful note in her file. One quiet night, Grace wrote Daniel a letter she never intended to send, telling him everything she never wanted to burden him with. One cold morning, the care home called Daniel. His mother had collapsed and been rushed to the hospital. Daniel dropped everything and drove faster than he ever had in his life, guilt crushing him with every mile. Claire, hearing the news, dropped her own plans instantly and rushed to meet him at the hospital, fear written across her face. He arrived to find his mother small and frail in a hospital bed, an oxygen mask over her face, her eyes barely open. In the hallway, a doctor gently told Daniel and Claire that the next few hours would tell them everything, and that they should prepare for either outcome. He took her hand and broke down, whispering apology after apology for all the months he had stayed away. Grace, weak but smiling, squeezed his hand and said, "You came. That's all that ever mattered to me." The next morning, Rose arrived at the hospital and quietly placed the unsent letter into Daniel's hands. "She wrote this for you months ago," she said. He read every word alone in the hallway, and for the first time understood exactly how much his absence had cost her. In the days that followed, Grace slowly recovered, and Daniel never left her side again. He brought her home, not to the care facility, but to live with him and Claire, in the room he prepared himself. That first evening, Claire cooked dinner together with Grace in the kitchen, laughing over an old family recipe neither of them had made quite right. Grace spent her final years surrounded by family, her chair by the window now facing a garden full of grandchildren's laughter. Moral: a mother's love waits patiently, but her time does not. Visit her while you still can.